Hey y'all, it's Cyber Saloon. So I'd finished going over Sword Art Online Season 1, kind of explaining it was kind of my gateway. It was what kind of got me into watching anime. I decided I really want to go over Seasons 2 and 3 of Sword Art Online as well. Sword Art Online Season 3, Alicization, and War of the Underworld in particular are ones that I really, really want to go over because I love... War of the Underworld is probably one of my favorite arcs in all of anime. I mean, I've seen a lot of arcs in anime. I love the War of the Underworld arc, and Alicization is also really solid as well. But I didn't want to completely skip Sword Art Online Season 2. I love Season 1. I really, really love Season 3. I think Season 2 is kind of the weakest of the three. I know a lot of people that I talk to really like the second season of Sword Art Online. Some people I talk to even like it more than the first season, but I think it's the weakest of the three. There's a lot of elements about the second season of Sword Art Online that I think are really, really good and I like. But as far as moving the story forward and as far as a lot of the elements that I generally kind of like in Sword Art Online as a series, this one I still love it. I mean, I have it on Blu-ray. It's great. There's a lot of things about it I like, but of the three, I think it's the weakest. And I kind of want to go over. I want to start with the big positives first. So I think it has an interesting premise. So I mentioned in my first video that like one of my favorite elements of the first season of Sword Art Online is Laughing Coffin. I love Laughing Coffin. And Sword Art Online Season 2 kind of explores that premise a little bit with Death Gun. You see at the beginning, I think Sword Art Online Season 2 has a great opening scene where you see Death Gun walk up in that bar when they're doing that kind of interview with those two like players for the Battle of Bullets, and like he just shoots the screen, one of them dies. It kind of brings back that kind of death element to Sword Art Online, kind of like, what the hell's going on, like, where people are kind of dying, in virtual reality, whenever we just kind of thought we got rid of that aspect. But I thought Death Gun was a really cool antagonist, and we learn obviously that it was two. It was like kind of like the remainder elements of it. I really like that aspect of it. The main draw for Sword Art Online Season 2, and I completely agree with people, a lot of people that like Sword Art Online Season 1, but like Season 2, one of their biggest things they like to talk about, and I agree with this as well. I loved... Gale Online is a really cool idea, and you get, the fantasy aspect you have in Sword Art Online Season 1 works really great, and I loved it. Obviously, it didn't have that much magic and stuff involved in it, but it still plays out like... You got monsters everywhere, all these special abilities. There's all these different, types of magic and kind of fantasy elements that work really well in Sword Art Online Season 1. But one of the big elements of really why a lot of people that I know that like Sword Art Online Season 2 and why I really like Sword Art Online Season 2, the A1 did such a good job at this in the animation in this season, on top of just the great animation in general, like the way the characters are portrayed, the the excellent many shots of Shion. They did such an amazing job at bringing to life like Gale Online, because it's such a cool idea. You think of it like when you see the opening shot of Sword Art Online Season 2, it's this kind of like really neo kind of cyberpunk kind of world where it's like it's this massive like city industrial complex, and it's really dirty. It feels really gritty, but like it works so well because it feels really lived in. You have all these different people walking around, and they have like AK-47s, M4s. Shion carries a damn Barrett, and like it's so cool. Like I loved the city. Like I loved the element. I loved the atmosphere of Sword Art Online Season 2. It was so good. It just felt like this neo kind of cyberpunk, kind of like dystopian, kind of like futuristic world, but like in a cool way where it's not like clean lines and everyone's like, like clean lines and perfect. It's like it's dirty. It feels lived in. It's got this cool aesthetic going on. I loved it. I thought it was really, really cool. And then you get to like the Badlands of the air, where it's like you have it's like all desert, and it's like all in like it kind of feels like kind of like the Wild West here in the U.S., where it's just like this frontier kind of aspect. It's all desert, but there's like all these destroyed cities that are around it, and you have like all these battles going on. Where like the first time we see Sion, her and her little band are like waiting to ambush those people, and they got like the tank class with them, who's got the bit instead of like in a normal like fantasy type aspect, he'd be like a like a berserker or something like that, where you have like a great long sword or warhammer or something like that. But in this, he's carrying like a giant ass minigun, and like he's just all strength. Like you have like it just has this aspect to it where it's just like it feels really lived in and dirty. It's the complete opposite of like Sword Art Online Season 1, where it's just like it's this kind of picturesque kind of fantasy where everything's clean. And like you'd want to live there, but like Season 2, like in Gun Gale, like it's lived in, it's dirty. Like I love the gun aspects. Like anime does such a badass job with guns. I will talk about it one day because I really like the series. But another series that does guns pretty well is actually High School of the Dead. I do really want to talk about that eventually, but I digress. But like anime does Black Lagoon, like when it comes to guns, like anime does such a cool job of making them look badass. And like Sword Art Online Season 2 Gun Gale did an absolutely phenomenal job of making them look so cool. Again, the world of Gun Gale Online is this really diverse kind of like lived in kind of aesthetic where you're like, that'd be such a badass game to play, and you'd be there like all the time after work. It looks like it's something that'd be so fun to actually do. So I think A1 did an absolutely incredible job at animating it and making it feel like a place that you want to do. And they've done such a great job like of doing it in all the worlds that they kind of make. So in Aincrad, they did a great job with Aincrad with making it that really cool kind of fantasy element game that you want to play in the MMORPG. And then of course the second half of Season 1 kind of people have their aspects of it that they don't like, but they did a great job at Alfheim Online. I thought Alfheim Online was really, really cool. I really liked the idea of all these different factions, and I thought they still made it something. They always do a good job of making worlds you'd want to play in with your friends, your spouse, no matter who it is. It's like after getting off work or coming back from the gym after work, it's like that's something you'd want to go do with your friends or go do solo. It's like they do such a good job at portraying that, and I absolutely love it. So I think A1 did a really good job. Again, I really love the aspect of Gun Gale Online. I love the Battle of Bullets tournament where it's like it's like this giant battlefield. It's like there's tropical aspects of it. There's this destroyed city. Like there's all these different kind of elements that kind of play together, and they're really fun to watch these gunfights play out. Like where they steal the Humvee. Like, oh man, it's good. It's really good. Of course, Kirito like goes with this with this sword that has the lightsaber effects, which is like doubly badass because he goes with this really cool pistol like sword combo that he has, and it's really cool. He'll pull out a pistol and like unload a clip at him and come at him with a sword. I'm like, that's so badass. And it's just, I don't know. I love Gun Gale Online. It's such a cool aspect of Season 2. It's my favorite aspect of Season 2. And I really wish that we had gotten to see more of the cast in Gun Gale Online. We got to see Shion, of course, was an absolute badass. We'll talk about her in a minute. But I wish we got to see some of the other characters a little bit more in like Gun Gale Online. So like Asuna, Klein, Aegil, Silica, Elizabeth, and all the rest of them, just to see what kind of classes they kind of have. You see it a little bit in Season 3 at the very, very beginning when they're first starting out. But I wish that was I hope that's a world they go back to eventually, because it's such a cool world, and I wish that they kind of went back to it. I have a good reason why I think they don't, but I'll get into that much later. But they did a really good job at animating. I love the Gun Gale stuff. It was really cool. Shion as a character is an absolutely badass character, slinging around a Barrett 50 cal and like just pulling off just the cheesiest moves possible. The move when she's flying out of the tank with the minigun at the beginning, and she's like jumps out of the building and like just blows them away with the Barrett like jumping out of her window. Oh man, it's badass. Like that's just anime in a nutshell. Like jumping out of a giant skyscraper with a Barrett sniper rifle, like some hot fucking anime girl jumping out of a skyscraper with a Barrett 50 cal about to blow this dude away. I'm just like, this is what I'm here for. I absolutely loved it. It was really cool. Shion is a great character. I thought she was a great addition to the cast. She's a really fun character. I think she has a really good story arc of helping. Kirito kind of helps her overcome her PTSD from when she was younger, the whole incident that kind of happened there. I thought she had a good character arc, and I think she's a character that I'm glad they got introduced, because I like seeing her in the later arcs. Like I like seeing her in the Excalibur arc that kind of happens like a mini arc after the Gun Gale. I like seeing her in like the third season of Sword Art Online. She's a good character, and I'm kind of glad that this season got introduced, because she's in like the absolute kind of badass kind of hunter class. And absolutely top tier, like easily one of Sword Art Online's best girls. So she's an absolutely great character. I love that stuff. I love the Excalibur quest. I thought that was a really fun kind of side arc. I really like the Excalibur quest. It was really fun. Like, it kind of sucked. I was like, oh, we just got done Gun Gale. We gotta go back to kind of Alfheim kind of stuff. But it was still really fun to go see them fight. To go fight where Thor helps them out, and like it's this giant battle against the Frost. And man, it was really fun. It was a fun side arc. And like Tonki, I don't know, I don't care. Like Tonki's weird as shit. Like I remember the first time when I was watching Sword Art Online season 2, and I was like, what the shit is that thing? Such a weird design, but I mean that kind of sticks with you. And I loved it where he's just like, oh, like Klein was making a joke, like, I won't ever get in, like, I'm not gonna get in this or ever get in an American car. I love the Excalibur stuff. It was really, really fun and well done. But and then it kind of moves in to the part that everyone kind of loves, me, myself included. And I think this part was definitely much needed. I think it kind of alleviated a little bit of like what people's kind of gripes were about the second season, not the second season, but the second half of the first season of Sword Art Online 1 with Alfheim Online, where Asuna kind of gets relegated to a back role. And I think this is like this arc kind of helped alleviate that a little bit to where like Asuna basically gets an arc of her own here, and it's a really, really, really solid one. She helps on top of the whole Yuki stuff in the Zekken. Yuki was an absolutely great character, and I want to talk more about her in a minute. But Asuna, on top of growing more as a person, as a character, like from dealing with and helping out Yuki, she also kind of has a really good arc to where she kind of like mends the relationship she has with her mom, because like Asuna's always kind of had like a really it shows us in Progressive. It shows it in the more so in Progressive at the beginning of the first part of season 2. That's where it kind of gets touched on. But Progressive in the season 2 is kind of where you see it a lot. Asuna doesn't have the best relationship with her mom. It seems like she has a decent relationship with her dad. Her brother basically exists only in Aria of a Starless Night. But she has a good relationship with her dad, but it's just like her and her mom have always been at odds, and they've never really gotten along. And she has a good arc also in Mother's Rosario, to where her and her mom kind of understand each other a little bit better, because it's just like her mom is just really hard on her, hard as nails, but at the end of the day just kind of wants what's best for her, what she deems is best for her, because that's kind of what was expected out of her in life, and help give her a good life that she kind of wanted. And she kind of views Asuna as like playing virtual MMOs with like all of her friends as like a distraction from like achieving what her mom perceives as, like instead of playing these virtual reality games like and stuff like that, you need to be focusing on whatever you want to do, like to become to further yourself and become a functioning member of society, and like because you're gonna look down on it later in the year saying, I wish I had studied more and I wish I hadn't played those games. But it's like, we know that that's not what it really is. There's people in Asuna's life that she deals with are her best friends in life, and of course Kirito is her soulmate. So it's just like she values that time that she gets to spend with him, and like she kind of convinces her mom a little bit like during the Mother's Rosario arc, to where like she kind of makes her understand that a little bit. And I thought that was a really good part of the Mother's Rosario arc. The part with Yuki was of course great, absolutely heart-wrenching at the end. We find out her disease and kind of what her and her guild have been going through, people who have like terminal illnesses, and they're trying to defeat they're trying to do like this one last quest thing. And of course the ending of like where unfortunately you see Yuki passes, but like that beautiful scene of like where all the different factions kind of come together and kind of have that one kind of moment of solace that they all have together, because they respected her so much, because she was easily arguably the best swordsman in all the game. Even I think that Kirito is better, but I don't want to get. But she was such a great swordsman. She was so good at what she did that like she was universally respected across the whole world, across all the different factions. I thought that was really cool that they had that kind of moment at the end. And I just want to say, the ending outro to Sword Art Online Season 2 is my favorite outro of all time. It's such a beautiful outro. It's beautifully animated, that where Asuna, she's like listening to music in an open field, and that kind of like that virtual reality screen kind of pops up and it's like that piano. Oh my, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I absolutely love it. It's so well done, especially at the end. It doesn't show it to the last episode, but we see that final piano play out, and it's Yuki's sword right next to the tree. Oh man, it gets you every time, and it's so well done. So that Asuna gets a really good arc in season 2. I love Mars Rosario arc. I love the intro as well. It's beautifully animated. With you kind of get to see part of it in the Excalibur arc, like with the swords, and oh man, it's great. But and of course in the Mother's Rosario, the swords are purple for Zekken. It's great. I don't hate Sword Art Online season 2, but I thought there are a lot of elements that I love about SAO that weren't in as much, but it's like I understand why they weren't in it as much. Like I'm glad that kind of Asuna kind of got to have her own arc, because Kirito kind of has his own arc a little bit. It's more Shion's arc than his. But you kind of see him like a lot of the past trauma that he dealt with Death Gun. I thought that was really good. That moment, I love it. So that moment he has with the nurse, to where he's explained that he killed I think it's 3. I think Kirito killed 3. He killed 3 members of Laughing Coffin, and he regrets it because he doesn't feel bad. I mean, I would argue he did the right thing. I mean, there's a difference from killing someone who's like a serial killer and like opposed that just kill people for fun. It's like they saved a lot of lives from that raid, because it's like it's like I don't think there was any other way that they could have really ever dealt with Laughing. We know that later Poe, of course, is the one that he just basically screwed over his own guild anyway. So it's. Had they not done what they did, a lot more people would have died. And then, to be honest with you, I think that a couple of them would have slipped through the net in prison and just would have got out, and probably helped more people of their guild mates out. So, like, killing Laughing Coffin was the correct thing to do. But Kirito, I mean, you got to think about it. He's like 17, 18. I think he's like 17 during this. No, Austin is like 18 or something like that. I think Austin's like a year older. But it's just like, you got to remember, he killed people when he was like 15. It's just like he killed 3 people when he was 15, so it's just like that's going to have obviously like a giant emotional impact on it. He's not like an adult where we can kind of rationalize it out and be like, okay, that was justified. It's like he's 15, you know, he doesn't really know how to understand how to deal with it, obviously for good reason. So it's just like I thought that he had a good arc, I thought Shion had a really good arc of overcoming her PTSD. I'm glad she was added to the group. I thought she's a good character. But I'm glad that Asuna got her own arc in season 2 as well. Because that's like my only thing. It's just like I wish we got more. I don't want to just say more moments of Kirito and Asuna together. I feel like because it's just like I don't want that. It was split up kind of well enough to where it's just like I'm glad that each character kind of got their own time to do something. But I wish we got to see Asuna more in Gun Gale. I wish she had a bigger part. Let me just say that. I wish that Asuna had a bigger part in Gun Gale Online. I thought it would have been really cool to see her and maybe a couple of the other cast members kind of go through Gun Gale Online. I thought that would have been really fun. But alas, we didn't get to see it. I just wish we got more moments between them. Not so much like, oh man, like Kirito and Asuna gotta go make out in the day. No, it's just like I wish they're good anchor points for each other, like Kirito and Asuna, because Asuna and Kirito open up more to each other in the series than they will with anyone else. And so they act as kind of good anchor points of how each character is kind of feeling at the moment, like kind of the strife they're going through. Kirito does that with Asuna. He only opens up to her, really. And Asuna, the vice versa, really the only same thing for her as well. So it's just like it would have been a good kind of like anchor points to kind of see like where each one was at emotionally a little bit better. That's the only thing I'd really have. The rest of it was really good. The ending and outro was absolutely beautiful. I love both of them. It did a solid job of moving the story forward. We got to learn more about Laughing Coffin, which set us up pretty well for Poe in season 3 from Gun Gale, and Mother's Rosario set us up to where is like a soft intro to kind of like the evolution of like a virtual reality. And to the eventual AI that we get into with Sword Art Online Season 3 Alicization, that would become, because you kind of see how that technology is progressed, and you kind of see that Kaiba had his like fingers in the Mechibold device that Yuki was in, and it kind of it acts as a good soft opening to Alicization in the War of the Underworld arc, to like how the story progresses from there, because it's like a good soft intro to Wrath. And it's a good soft intro. Gun Gale worked as a good soft intro as well because it kind of set up the plot into how Kirito comes into Wrath, like that that medicine that he was using to like kill people with. It would like stop their heart. Well, not stop their heart, but it would cause such massive damage to their nervous system to where it would just completely where it'd kill them. And that medicine, of course, is what I think it was Johnny Black is the one that ended up is the one that hit Kirito within the first episode of season 3. So it acts as a good season 2 acts as a good launching point for season 3. That's why I like it. I like the first season better, but I like the third season is just a completely tier above the other two. I would rank, so it'd be 2, 1, and 3 for me. But season 2 is still an absolutely great season. I would still highly recommend anyone watch it. A1, I'm gonna say this, just my favorite animation that A1 has done is actually Sword Art Online season 2. They did a really good job with the animation. It really fleshed out the world looks lived in. You can kind of tell they definitely focused on Shion as a character, and I am not mad about it. But Sword Art Online season 2 absolutely solid. Let me know what y'all thought of it. Did y'all think it kind of is Gun Gale your favorite season? Because it's just like a lot of people I talked to that had problems with season 1. I noticed like Gun Gale a lot. You might be one of them, and I kind of want to hear y'all's thoughts on it too. Like if you thought that the Gun Gale stuff really worked for you, it worked for me. But I still like a lot of the elements and aspects that I love about Sword Art Online season 2 were not as much at the forefront as they were at 1 and 3. But I still love it overall as a season. I'd highly recommend it. Let me know what y'all thought on season 2. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? You thought it was badass too? What do you wish they'd bring Gun Gale back as much as I do? Let me know. And again, for the next week, I'm really excited. I'm going to talk about my next video. I'm going to kind of round out Sword Art Online as a series and end it with season 3 and kind of where I think that it's going to go as a series from there. But I'll start working on that. But let me know what you thought on season 2, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.